Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Happy Monday to you, 7:07 on WMAL. Brian Eamon, Brian Wilson with you.
Hit me with your best shot.
We're going to try to. Joe Digenova, our legal expert, joins us now. Good morning, Joe. How you been?
Good morning. Been fine.
Good to hear. So, once again, I'm going to ask you about what the President of the United States is doing and whether it's legal. We did this with Defense of Marriage. We did this with the DREAM Act, the Backdoor DREAM Act. That was announced a couple of months ago. And now we heard on Thursday, Friday, that they are going to change welfare. Now, remember, in the 90s, Bill Clinton, Newt Gingrich got together, signed welfare reform that said you had to be at least looking for a job or have a job in order to collect welfare, and that was a federal standard. But now the president has basically told the state you can ask for a waiver, and I guess under some law or some legal device in the Social Security Act, which I don't quite understand, he can say, well, you don't necessarily have to have a job or be looking for a job in order to collect welfare. Is this legal? Can he do this?
I think this is probably illegal. But it's going to take litigation, and it will require a lot of time, and it will all, like everything else that he is doing, it will happen after the election. Now, ask yourself a question. Have you been reading anything in national coverage about states complaining about the work requirement? No. And so what this is once again a brazen, and I underscore brazen, political move to, I don't know why he wants to assure this base, but apparently he thinks he needs help in the welfare community.
That's what we were thinking. We were discussing why. What's the motive behind it?
It's all about votes.
I think what you are seeing with the immigration regulations, basically a DREAM Act done by regulation, which I believe is illegal.
Yeah.
The recess appointments to the National Labor Relations Board, which is probably also illegal. You look at the kill list, all of this stuff. The cumulative, it's breathtaking, just breathtaking in the sweep of illegality. You guys had it right earlier, especially the caller, about the rule of law. What is happening now is an amazing performance by a president who, if he were not black and if he were not a Democrat, would be on the verge of impeachment. This is one of the most unbelievable displays of the imperial presidency in our history. He makes Richard Nixon look like a dumpy city council member.
Yeah, we were talking during the commercial break about that, Joe, and the sort of the thought that came up was, look, Republicans wouldn't dare go down that path right now because the political impact of that would be just.
And he knows it.
And he knows it.
They can't.
But if he should be reelected, I wouldn't be surprised that if those movements might start, because if you're in Congress, you can't just stand by and watch the president undo the laws of the land.
If he is reelected and the Republicans take the Senate, which is an unlikely combination. I mean, Romney has to win, I think, for the Republicans to take the Senate. Maybe not. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But because Romney, believe me, doesn't have any coattails now, and he isn't going to have any by November. I mean, the bottom line is, if the Senate goes Republican, I don't think there's any doubt there's going to be an effort to rein the president in, and the only way to do that is impeachment. Now, here's one thing that could happen. The secretaries who authorized these actions could be impeached. For example, you could impeach Sebelius. That's the way you would start. You wouldn't necessarily start with the president. But this is so breathtaking in its scope that it's really quite frightening. I mean, I sat back over the weekend and tried to fathom what was going on. This is an amazing grab of power by a president. And when you couple this with the kill list, just put this in your mind. Here's the President of the United States sitting in the Situation Room with 24 people going over a list of people to kill. They've completely destroyed the notion of plausible deniability, which has been a tenet of United States government since the 1950s. And he just wiped it away with this article in the New York Times, which they clearly leaked. You put all these together, welfare, labor, military, I mean, you name it. It is a sweeping grab of power. It's remarkable. And it's almost as if the people who wanted him in office, the New York Times, the Washington Post, can't even bring themselves to recognize what's happening. And here they are. This is the administration that has brought more leak cases against journalists than anybody. Do you hear a peep from anybody?
No, well, that's what's amazing is that we spent the weekend on the Sunday Talk Shows basically talking about Bain and offshoring jobs instead of this.
I got to tell you something. The Romney campaign is so bad at this point. My heart is fluttering at what they are wasting. But first of all, if you're Romney, you don't think this question is coming? You don't have a complete kit ready to be handed out? I mean, this nonsense that he retroactively retired? How about he left and never went back? Retroactively retired? What the hell does that mean? I mean, these guys have so muddied the water that they are making Obama look good. Because with his snarky, arrogant humor that the president uses, and he's very good at it, you know. Most adjunct professors, in other words, people who never had tenured, have good senses of humor because that's why they were hired. It's not because they knew anything.
Right.
Obama's never written anything. I mean, it's incredible. Bill Ayers wrote his biography, his autobiography. So, but when you look at this sweep of this welfare reform thing is scary. I think that's illegal. I don't think they have the authority to do it. I know they've cited the Social Security Act. I think it's clearly illegal. There's going to be lawsuits filed. It's mind-boggling.
All right, let me turn to local politics while we have a chance. Does Vincent Gray have a chance to stay as the mayor, or is he done?
Well, putting aside the legalities of it, I think the politics of it are miserable for him. I mean, he basically cannot govern. And you have to ask yourself at a certain point, how long do you stay? He's going to tough it out. He is not going anywhere unless he is removed. He will not resign. The clowns on the city council do not have the gravitas to be able to go to him. Well, by the way, which one of them goes to him and says you need to step down? Yeah. Remember when Barry Goldwater went to Nixon? Who's the Barry Goldwater type on the council? There isn't one. I mean, the council is a joke. They are toothless. And not only that, they're compromised. I mean, look at the number of people that have resigned, pleaded guilty, or are under investigation. The mayor probably is very close now because of the Harris guilty plea. That conversation she had with him in January over the diversion of the funds and the $623,000. Right. What happened in that conversation will determine the mayor's fate.
What about
whether or not he's going to be indicted?
What about Jeffrey Thompson, who?
Oh, he's dead meat.
But he hasn't been charged with anything yet.
Well, that's because you don't charge him until he's the last person that goes. He will be the one that gets charged just before the mayor. You keep him for last. He's the big kahuna. What Machen is doing, that's the U.S. attorney, is he's building a block slowly but surely, going from down below, moving it up. Now he's at Harris, the person who had the conversation with him. The next person is Thompson. I mean, the next big person is Thompson. Thompson, I believe at this point, really, there's no question. He cannot.
There's a lot of question about whether Machen's the right guy to do this leak investigation, but you have to say he's handled this one pretty well.
Yeah, but this is easy.
Yeah, this is well, I don't know. It's not always easy. If it's been easy, why haven't they done it before now?
Well, everything happens to you. When you're a prosecutor, you don't control everything. This stuff gets handed to you. Look, he came in, and all of a sudden these clowns start acting like the fools that they are, and they do it in an illegal way, and he's been sent a beautiful gift for a prosecutor, which is a bunch of stupid people breaking the law and having themselves tape recorded, people wearing body wires. I mean, you have to. The reason people act this way is because they think they're never going to get caught. They believe that there is no accountability. I mean, you're talking about Penn State. The reason those people acted that way is because they knew they were immune.
All right.
Nothing would ever happen to them.
All right, Joe, we're all out of...
By the way, the statue should come down, and there should be no season.
No season.
No season.